everyone to the second session in the ReframeWork series. We are now diving into more technical skills and capabilities on building your own chatbot and layering on the knowledge that we've acquired on the last session. So that's why we're so excited to have our Querlo partners to help us in developing that skill base. Why Querlo? First of all, when I saw the capabilities, I just was really blown away by the ease and the intuitiveness of the platform. Having experimented with some of the Watson capabilities, I found this much more user-friendly and easy to navigate. And when the students had experimented with learning how to use it, it was even more impressive just to see the creativity that brought about in applications and use and experimentation. So with that, I'd love to introduce the Querlo team. We have Francesco, Rulli, and Jing, who are going to be the stars of today's event.
So the first step for us is basically to look at how we can create, some people, we had some students that already created three or four compelling examples. But I think that it would be nice if we start from scratch to give at least my perspective on how we create chatbots. The reason why we created Querlo is provide a service, a business-to-business service, not necessarily business-to-consumer. So certain functionalities of this platform could be definitely improved in terms of the use of a consumer. We target mostly people that have a little bit of a skill set to understand certain aspects of, I'm not saying programming, but at least developing a chatbot. So the beginning here, we usually have an entry point in which we can name the chatbot itself. For example, here, test for NYU students. And we can also create a URL like test NYU, okay? So that the URL here would be querlo.com/chat/test NYU, just to simplify sometimes the understanding. We support basically any language when it comes to deterministic and 13 languages when it comes to NLU. Here you have a selection of options. Active, or if I check this out, basically the chatbot exists, but is not active anymore. Always reset means that when you visit the chatbot, you always start from the beginning. If I remove this, the chatbot will start from where you left off, assuming that you didn't take your cookies away and you didn't erase the cookies. Disable the Querlo brand. So if we enable it, you'll see on the side and then on a cell phone visual the Querlo brand, or it's disabled. And then email notification. This is for every chatbot that receive data at the moment in which someone turns off the tab or close the browser. An automatic notification will arrive to the email of the user. Randomized answer order that allows to randomize the order of the answers. So you might have up to 11 or 12 answers on something, so that we can randomize them to make sure that people are not always choosing the first or the second, for example. And then enable share, in which is a little button I will show you later that allows us to share on social media. Very important here is the speed of the speed factor. So going this direction is slower, going this direction is faster. We have a default of 1, and then below here you have the integration of our natural language understanding partners. We have as a default Microsoft Lewis and IBM Watson as active partners, but we also do custom implementation of other third parties that provide us cognitive services. Our chatbots are immediately compatible with Facebook Messenger, in addition to our format, as well as we do WhatsApp, Slack, and different formats, but those are built separately. We can customize the colors of the bubbles. So for
Francesco,
example,
before we move to the layout,
sure.
Can we spend a few seconds on the NLU? So in order for people to integrate with that, they will have to create an account on those upstream or downstream systems and then enter the API key.
Yeah, exactly. So most of those companies provide a free account to start. Don't remember now exactly the amount of calls, but you can have a substantial amount of free interactions with IBM and Microsoft Lewis. You build your key, and then you can implement it, and it will work as the cognitive partner in this case. Okay, Jing can probably explain a little bit more in detail this part if we want to go that far. Okay,
sounds good.
Now, in terms of colors, it's nice to have a little bit of fun with the color combinations. So you can also change the transparency. You can add, for example, your custom logo, background image, so that you give it a certain customization. Let me see if I find something here on my documents. Let's stop. Oh, sorry, should be in here somewhere. Okay. All right, let's put my kids with the Dodge Challenger as a background. Okay, and then you kind of like decide if you like this color combination or not. Probably green is not ideal, so let's do gray here.
So this allows people to give a little bit of personality and
exactly, and
character.
Then you can also add like for example, an avatar here. So why don't we add an avatar here? Let me put an avatar. First avatar. Oops, yeah, why not put one of those little pictures here, one of those kids, right? This is my production. And so once we enter this part of the chatbot, it's fairly easy to edit. You can reduce the size, you can move it around. Obviously, you can edit the content. So, for example, welcome to our test chatbot, okay? And you can start the conversation. At this point, there are different features that you can implement. For example, you can go into the new command space, and one of the features I like to entertain people is change of background. That is a simple feature in which allows me to identify, for example, different pictures and change the background. For example, this is a nice little picture I took in London a few years ago. Let's see if it uploads it. I guess he has to download that. Okay, here. And at this step, the chatbot will change its background when we get to that point, okay? So for example, we can ask with a question, simple question, what is your name, okay? And in this case, we switch from multiple choice, we select open answer, and we give here a variable name. Jing, correct me if I make mistakes, all right?
All good.
All right, thank you. Because then.
So this is a reminder. This is part of the context that Sophia was describing last time, where you store certain variables that you can repurpose later on.
Exactly. So here we can ask a question. We open this name. This. What is your favorite gelato flavor? And you know, to make our life a little bit easier in the beginning, what we do, we can do a multiple choice, in which will allow us to simplify the tracking of the data, but also gives us limitations, all right? So that's a choice in which going with open answers, we have to train the NLU. Doing multiple choice, we don't have to, but also give us less opportunities. So for example, pistachio, all right? Okay. And so this is how we build basically a multiple choice. We can also instead doing a multiple selection, in which, for example, say a new question, what type of coffee do you like? This is a different multiple selection is when you can select more than one product. So like, for example, here you can do answer espresso. Macchiato. Cappuccino. All right. And then what you can do, you can connect the dots here, connect to this answer. If you use chocolate, you can actually maybe want to change the background for the sake of making it more entertaining. Let me see if I find something that makes any sense. All right, here. Sorry, I keep using my children, but that's the folder I have handy, all right?
That's good.
Yeah. And
So,
then from here, you connect back to this question. Yes.
So when you connect, because on the video it does not show a cast that well, you right click on the box you want to connect to, and then
Yeah.
do you connect to the other box?
Yes, yes. So let's say I can break this connection now. I'll show you.
There we go.
So I click on this box, I click on connect, and then I click on the box where I want to go.
You want to connect to, perfect.
And in certain instances, it's create this phantom repetition just because it prefers in terms of designing the product, right? So that we can actually have a little bit of order. If I change my mind and I want to remove things, I can always remove things from here. And one sec, let me make sure I don't make a mistake. I remove from here. And then I can always save this as a branch that I will use later. So if I remove this, it doesn't disappear, it goes here, right? So I can keep it in the orphan branches and I can always reconnect it whenever I want, okay? So it's always handy. You can assemble and disassemble a chatbot, all right? So this is an example, a little bit of how you can create these. So let's go and look at the preview of what we just created. Took a few minutes. What is your name? Francesco. So here I will choose one flavor. And let's say I like chocolate. And then I change the background again, and then I can do a multiple choice. So here I can choose, let's say, macchiato and espresso, and then I did a double selection, okay? So this is a little bit the philosophy behind this. Now, let's say that let's go back to the editing here. Oops, sorry. Okay, here. So let's talk about sentiment and emotion, all right? So there is a philosophy behind using sentiment and emotion, in which using chatbots to measure sentiment, it allows you to understand people's sentiments or emotions using IBM, Watson, or other tools on the, available. People between each other, they have a tendency to be very, very positive, or at least to go on a political correct route, when instead they communicate with machines, they have a different approach about it. So I would like to show something here, edit Moschino, in which it's an interesting story about this, for this chatbot here, okay? This is an old chatbot we created for this brand, Moschino. And it's a controversial chatbot because I don't know if you have ever seen this perfume bottle, but this perfume bottle looks like a Windex, correct? And if you look, this is a campaign with actually Claudia Evangelista, in which it basically shows her as, you know, cleaning the glass with this perfume, okay? And this actually was a research we did for a reputation management company from the Middle East, if this was a positive or a negative connotation, right? And considering, you know, the situation on which has been developed in the last few years in terms of the Me Too movement, this was a question, all right? So when we implemented on the chatbot, show you the real-time results. Okay, this is fairly interesting. We had, okay, 64% of men participated, 31 women. And okay, here. So, so it was considered on brand 23%, innovative 28%, silly 20%, offensive 6%, fantastic 19%, in our opinion. So it was very, very, very surprising, right? That this was so welcome from this perspective. And that's why I believe that using artificial intelligence sometimes to measure sentiment is an interesting thing to do. And it gives us the opportunity to find different perspectives, let's say, right? This is all the old, is like 2 years old, but it's still a contemporary case study.
Yes, I'm just gonna share the screen, and this is the exact chatbot that Francesco has been editing. So here, the question, what is your name? It's an open answer question. We edit. So the function of setting a variable name is to basically save the answer to this question. So whatever user type to the question, what is your name, will be saved to the variable name that you set here. We can do anything because username capitalized and it's case sensitive. So here you set the question of what is your name as name, and then later when you want to quote that part, you can put it in the bucket, like what Francesco has been doing here. And this part will be quoting the answer the user input here in what's your name. There is another way that we can use the variable. So the variables, they're saved for every session. So the same user who come back to the same chat using the same browser, the name will be remembered. So an interesting way to take advantage of that is we can insert a conditional branch on the top. And there's a new question type called conditional branch. And here, I'm gonna set a new variable called name available. I'm gonna remember this is the variable I set. And I'm gonna branch out to a true branch and a default path. So here, when for user who've input your name, I'm gonna insert a variable. Now, this time I'm inserting a variable because I cannot set here, like what we've been doing. So I'm gonna insert called set variable. So I'm creating the variable that I'm using up here called name available. And I'm going to set true for all the users who've answered the question of what is your name. So basically I'm flagging all the users who's answered. And so next time they can skip the name question. I'm going to put all the branch back. So for a new user, they go through the default path, they answer the question, and they're flagged. Next time when they go through the same chat, they'll go to this branch of true. So now I'm going to connect the true branch to something. Well, actually, I'm going to create something new. Say, hello, name. Welcome back. The user will be very surprised to see that we can actually remember him. And we can connect to the rest of the branch. Now, if I preview how it works, it will be like, because this is the first time I'm entering the chat, let's say Jing. Okay, so I'm going to skip this part and I refresh, pretending this is my second time going to the same chat, maybe a week later. Yeah. So, okay, I think I got some mistake here. Name. So this is the debugging part. You see, we are not.
Which is great too.
Yes. So you see, there should be something showing, but it's not.
There was a message about disconnection, so I don't know if when you saved it, it didn't refresh.
Yes, probably that. Let me see if it's doing for this time.
So Aaron is asking, was there an option in the what is your name question about making it persistent across sessions?
Yes. So here, make answers persistent across multiple users.
Well,
You're like
well done,
more
Aaron.
than expert than I am. This is the stupid mistake I'm making. So now everyone knows this is the chat box. You need to check before doing this trick. But now since I check the box after I come back, so this is not working for me at this time. The way I should make it work is to clear my cache and my cookie. So I'll go through the name question and then have it saved across all sessions. So maybe Francesco, if you show it on your screen, it will show the correct name of yours instead of quoting nothing like the mistake I made here.
We can try that at the end if we have more time. I want to make sure we get through the two other questions and then the sentiment analysis.
Sure.
So the other two questions were, can you explain more the loop function? And is there a way to undo your action or make adjustments to your high-level command without removing the rest of the branch?
So the loop function is basically have the chat go back to a previous node. For example, here, what type of coffee do you like? If we would just want to go back, I'm connecting maybe to the beginning, whatever, for whatever purpose I want to like loop the question. And here it's showing this kind of faded color of the bubble you're connecting to. If it's connected to something here, it's also a faded color to show it's a node that's already available in this chat. So when you are checking errors and you're following the tree, you know, okay, this is something probably on top, above what you're working at. To edit some of the parts, which is the second question, usually they allow you to make changes, but the exception is for the question type. The question type, once you save it, the type cannot be changed because all the backend setting is pretty different. for example, sometimes the question will link to a Watson function. But once it's set, it's hard to change it back. That's why for the questions, you can edit the content, but for the type, I would say before you save it, maybe it's better to decide what kind of question you want to use before hit the save button. But of course, if you change your mind, you can say, we can either just remove this whole branch here. It will save all the branch below to the opened branch, or you can slowly disconnect one by one, and it will be saved to the open branch, or you could just remove it all.
So Jing, to make sure if I remove something on a higher level, I have to remove all the connection first, because I try to do that and it seems like everything is gone below it.
For example, let me remove something. So everything below should be automatically saved to the open branches. Yeah, maybe it was like minimized if you move it. So that part was totally removed and gone. So I would suggest not to use the remove button very often, just in case you want to bring it back. So I would just disconnect and put it to the open branches in case you would use it in the future.
And do you just drag it back to this white space once you have reestablished what you have? Let's say you break the connection first, you move it to open branches, then do you just, okay.
You click on this link icon, and say create a new connection, and you connect to wherever you want to have it linked.
Yeah, that's helpful, because I was trying to do something on top and I realized that I should have added another question or added another text or something. But then I was afraid that it would move everything else. So I'll try that. Thank you.
No problem.